Hey guys, and let's get into tech. So, without further ado, this video is all about my very non-linear tech journey. Been in the working life for 20 plus years, and more than half of it is within tech. So, yeah, uh, let's get down to the business. Where did it all start? Well, there was this thing back in the late 80s. I was born before the internet, so my first computer was Commodore VIC20, and I learned to code with this thing. I had the game programming thing. All the games were written in the code. BASIC was the language, and yeah, so this is where my journey into tech started back in the late 80s. Had a cassette tape, or actually it was called dataset unit. So all the games were in this or in some kind of like modules that pretty much looked like the first Nintendo games. They were kind of similar. I still have it. It's in working order. I just don't play it anymore. But one day might just fire it up or just try to code one of those ancient games on if there's a basic emulator. Anyway, so how did I get into this tech where I'm right now? So I'm right now doing software project management. Then I'm doing cybersecurity. I've been doing data analytics and also manual testing on the website or the app that we use at my current workplace. So how did I get into this? So first of all, I my way of building my career has always been kind of weird. I've been looking into odds, like how I'm a bachelor of radiography, so I got into that area just because I was just looking and was like, okay, this school gets this many applications in and this many students get in, and I had the best odds. Uh, it had tech, it had the best odds, so I just applied. Didn't want to go into the engineer route, just kind of again take the longer way route, have a little curve, have a little butt kind of thing in my approach into things. So after that, graduated from there, and well, actually, before that, I was in the army or the defensive forces, and there I was in the network and like radio. We had this huge trailer that was kind of, we were shielding all the other intel radio traffic, so we were kind of like the main target for any enemy. So we did a lot of all this kind of network and radio traffic and all this kind of intel stuff in the army. So their interest more, and then got into the radiography. Then from there, worked in the healthcare industry for 10 years. Pretty much when I started studying, they still had films, and I remember one of my first where I was in interning. The person who was my mentor was like, "Well, these mammogram films, they're silver plated. There's never gonna be anything digital that's gonna be better than that." Well, I didn't even graduate before all those were gone. So medicine is going super fast. So there's a clue for you guys getting into tech. Take the unconventional route. Take the little curve, and you can probably find a pretty good entry level job. I'm gonna be talking more about these more specifically in future videos, but this is just my story. So from there, well, worked in the business. I was in the I also did some PAX help desk thing. So there's a picture archive communication system which combines the reference in with the image, in with the answer from the radiologist. So it kind of packs them up all, and then there's an archive, and there's a lot of things to run, like do networking stuff and build connections between units and whatnot. So I was into that too. So more tech experience. A lot of people who again, I will be talking more about on other videos. Have gone from that career. I know my old colleagues are working in for the companies that make those machines, like Siemens, GE, and whatnot. So they're like sales reps or technical advisors, or there because they have the experience from that field. So anyways, I got interested on other things. I was trying to go for the masters, but well, I got another job, so I didn't go for the masters. I ended up in the government authority that overwatches the thing that I was doing. So I was immediately an expert on that. I knew the field. I knew all the gimmicks. I knew how things work there. So let alone there's the software that we use for registration, for licensing, and doing inspection reports, and well, kind of the app that holds the back end of all the documentation thing, and what the workflows of what goes into this authority job. So it was horrible in my opinion. It was slow, and thanks to my interest on building web apps, like I learned to build web apps when I was in high school back in the 90s. I did my dad his first web page with HTML2 with Microsoft front page. So yeah, there's that. I've been building websites, then went into front WordPress, because WordPress just killed the industry, right? Like, well, it's 70% of websites, but it didn't kill coding. It didn't kill the tech industry. Not everyone is building with WordPress. So there's that. So I knew the basic of like web development and how things were. I wasn't really following super much about it, but I knew how websites work, how scripting works, how JavaScript work, how PHP worked, and whatnot. So then I started doing manual testing, and I dug into the software and just like found few bugs that I reported, and let alone the like the front page queue line where all the daily tasks are like opening up when you open the software. It went from 11-second load time to like 5 seconds or something, just thanks to my tips. So just script tags in wrong place, loading up long ass scripts on a monolithic massive enterprise size application with millions and millions of data points. So the people who were doing the all the software, like all the new features and whatnot, they asked me if I could come and join the testing team. So I joined the testing team, and I did a lot of that. So I also did gaming, and I've been in a modding team of games like Silent Hunter 3, which is a submarine simulation. I was in this team, Not Your Grandmother team, who was doing mods that were making the game more realistic. And yeah, so I was doing a lot of testing on that mod. I was doing a lot of tweaking. I was building up historical events to it, and what all that kind of jazz. So I kind of like whatever I touch on tech, I just usually kind of like poke around and dig deeper into it. So that's a great way to learn many things that then just compound in your understanding of technology, and you can easily then just like hop into new things, whatever starts to interest you. So highly recommend whatever piece of technology you touch, just try to look like under the hood what's happening, and that's gonna make things a lot easier for you to understand the entire ecosystem. What is tech? It's not just coding, it's not just front end, it's not back end, blah blah blah. It's a massive thing. So from there on out, I also started doing some digging on the data that was in the software, because some of the calls were slow and blah blah blah. So I just decided to check into it, and then I just realized this database is full of data that we're not utilizing it anyways. We're just making it like a big jam jar full of data with no use, just like making it sit there and do nothing. So I started practicing some queries. Then I got from the testing team, one of the database admins was in the testing team. So I just started talking to him, and he finally, in the end, I got like almost admin permissions to the database, and I can do all kinds of queries into it. So I just started learning. We did some few one-on-ones, and he taught, because the database is massive. It has like more than almost like 250 tables on the site that I'm using, and it's some of the queries tend to run into like 30 lines of SQL. So luckily the Microsoft SQL Server has the like the planner that you can, it's not just native SQL typing. You can use the editor to like pick the tables, pick what you want, and then see the relations and whatnot. So I started learning that. I started querying data and representing data to my section head and all my colleagues, and they're like, there's this kind of data, why aren't we, look, this data states that this and this on the field might be something we should be probably interested about. And because when you just go into one thing and you do inspections and whatnot, you don't see the massive picture of the entire field, and there was no queries done to that. So I started building stuff like that, and then let alone got more and more into it, started adding Python into my skills, started practicing Python, learned Python enough to just build stuff on automated stuff on from the database to Jupyter notebooks, or just on shorter, just some scripts and whatnot. So then my boss was like, yeah, please, could you start building these reports more? And then let alone, I'll just ended up doing a lot of those. Then the sunset time for that software began to loom in the horizon. So, well, I knew a whole lot of things about the software already. I knew the database, I know the data model, I know the workflow. So I just pitched it into my section head, and then up to the department boss, and they decided that I'm gonna be the project manager of renewing this thing. So I didn't know. I haven't had any project management, like never learned anything about it. So I just went into the Coursera and did like the Google project management, and took one like Scrum thing from Udemy, and just like went through them, and boom, I started using the tools and skills from there. And I learned this because it was starting at this like January the next year. So I just taught myself everything I should know, and then just started planning up the project. So that's been going on for the last 3 years or so. We had a little sidetrack. We needed to take another authority for the ride, and actually we were trying to hitch a ride on their software, but after a year and a half of just going through everything, we built architecture and did this and that, and just realized it's not gonna work. It's going to be too expensive, and it's gonna break down their working software. So we just pulled off and pulled the plug on that project, and now we're doing the thing on our own. So now we have a good base, but again, things changed. There's gonna be the government gave us there's a new guidelines for cloud using of cloud on these applications, and it's a cloud first strategy. So now, instead of using the on-prem systems that we already planned, we are now planning it for the cloud first thing, and we're starting the architecture during the spring. Now we're just doing a competition for the firms that this is going to be a professional architecture firm that's going to be aiding us, and we're going to be consulting them how to what are the workflows. So we've been building up a a data flow, workflow, and all these kind of like flow charts for the beginning of the years. Then did the and did this and that. So that's what I'm doing kind of now. So, but then I wasn't able to do any of the inspection stuff and licensing stuff that I used to do. So I just ended up being moved to the IT department for the period of this project. But it's apparent that it's gonna be changed into permanent change. So I'm gonna be fully on the IT section or department for the future on. Now we're bringing in AI. Now we're doing. There's a whole bunch of things going on, and I know some of it, and I'm probably one of the who knows the most, or at least at the top 5 of the people who knows about AI. So now I'm kind of the AI advocate, and we're doing these seminars and webinars and panel discussions and whatnot in the organization. Now we're just building up a guideline thing for it, and yeah. And when I was moved into the IT department, then my now boss asked me if I know anything about cybersecurity. And yes, I've seen stuff, and I've done stuff when I was younger, when internet was young, and everything was rather easy. Google wasn't there, but there were groups that were gathering other ways, like IRC and whatnot. So I learned a thing or two. I had a bunch of friends who were awesome at doing stuff on the DOS environment. I remember there was no Windows, there was no internet. So I'm from beyond the internet era or before. So yeah. So as I knew that, he was like, well, I'm just gonna give you the senior. He's gonna teach you the ropes. You're gonna learn the network stuff, and then you're gonna start doing analyzing the alerts and whatnot. And the analyzing alert thing was actually annoying. It was a system that sent you emails multiple times a day when the walls were trying to be knocked. So I built a Python and Streamlit analyzing application who takes all those emails and reads them and does the natural language processing and picks up certain things and then builds it into a data set and then a data frame with pandas, and then I'll just run a bunch of analytics through it, and it builds a dashboard on a Streamlit. So now instead of somebody having to manually go through all the stuff, they can see it on the dashboard. Pretty simple. And I just run it daily, and it's just these compounding things of learning tech skills that and my skill of like talking my way into these positions and reading the room. Oh, there's gonna be this kind of change in the tech industry. So what's gonna happen in our work environment? Okay, it's gonna change this and that and that. So I start studying or learning about these things. So when the time comes, I know this. I can help around. Let's do this. So that's how I built my entire tech career. It's been a journey. It's been taking more than a decade, and of course the process is not as fast, and it's not as sexy as getting that full stack development job or whatever people are now trying to chase. But yeah, it's a solid way, and I'm gonna be talking more about these on the upcoming videos, like healthcare tech, govtech, like government tech, and how can you approach getting into tech with like medical companies, like actual companies that build machines used in things like medical imaging and whatnot. And yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff coming up, and I hope you're gonna be enjoying those upcoming videos. Thank you if you watched this far. If you did, probably should subscribe. Yeah. shouldn't be saying this, but come on. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and see you on the next one.